This tutorial is going to cover how to use your Fill Rhinestone tool within the EZ Gem Designer. The first thing you're going to do here, I'm just going to add a new page here, and I'm going to go ahead and make myself a shape right inside Corel using my ellipse tool. Once again, you'll notice that when my vector path is selected, my stone buttons become available. The rhinestone outline will just cover the vector path of my shape, while the Rhinestone Fill Tool is actually going to fill it up. So you'll notice I just filled up my ellipse here. It's full of rhinestones. My gem object properties now has two drop-down menus right here. I can choose the Rhinestone Fill. This actually will cover all the properties of the fill of the rhinestones, the way it's filled, while my rhinestone covers the rhinestone specifically. So I can still adjust my rhinestone size. I'm going to make it a stone size 16, hit apply. I could still adjust my spacing. Here is also where it's telling me that I have how many stones I have in here. And then I can go to my Rhinestone Fill, and this is actually going to show me the properties of my Rhinestone Fill. So right now we have fill type. It's set on standard. Standard is like horizontal lines of the rhinestones just stacked on top of each other. If I choose Cascade, I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. It will actually make a shape of your object and then make smaller and smaller shapes of rhinestones in that way. So like the cascade on the circle actually looks quite nice. And then I'll show you on a square, let's go ahead and fill this guy. The standard, because it's just straight horizontal lines, that actually looks really nice for a square. If I choose Cascade on this, it actually is going to look slightly more distorted. It really kind of just depends on your shape, which one that you like, which one you prefer. So when you, let's see, I'm going to go back to this one. This one's set on my Cascade fill. I can adjust my inset. That is the distance between the vector line and where the rhinestones start. So right now it's at 0 millimeters. I'm just going to go ahead and make it 5 millimeters and hit apply. And you're going to notice now my rhinestone fill does not even start until 5 millimeters within the shape. So that's what that does. I'm going to go ahead and set it back to 0. My line spacing is how much space is in between each line. Here I'm going to go ahead and set my square back to standard. So we have the Cascade fill and the standard fill side by side. And I'm going to set my line spacing to be rather large, 5.2 millimeters, so you can really see the difference. This is a Cascade fill, so it's like smaller circles inside here, which is actually making the rhinestone fill. The standard fill, let's go ahead and make this one 5.2 millimeters. That is actually, you'll see, it's just stripes of rhinestones filling our shape. And so that's that. Let's go ahead back to our circle. Let's see, what do we have down here? We have the fitting tolerance. That's just kind of showing, let's see, let me zoom in on here. You'll notice on this shape right now, our fitting tolerance is set to 0.5 millimeters. That means that it's going to allow wiggle room of 0.5 millimeters for these stones. I can set that at 0. That will make it so that there's no overlapping whatsoever in my stones. See how now they will not cross the vector path. I can make it higher. I'm going to make it 2 millimeters, hit apply. You'll see now it gives my stones wiggle room of 2 millimeters on how much it's forcing inside this shape. And that is not an available application for the Cascade. That it only is for the standard where that comes up. That's also my fit to shape. Right now my fit to shape is select. That means it's kind of forcing it to the shape. If I deselect that and hit apply, it's a little more relaxed about forcing it to fit in the shape. It really will just depend on each individual shape what looks best. And so it's kind of when you have a shape and you're trying to fill it, it's kind of best just to tweak these. The overlap filter and the border is only applied to our Cascade fill. So now I'm on my circle again. My overlap filter Most of the time, we're not even going to see a difference in this. We'll get back to that, and I'll show you exactly what it's doing there. Our border, though, is right now set inside border. So you'll notice this circle here, the rhinestones are inside the border. We can actually set that to on the outline, and when I hit apply, you'll notice that the first set of rhinestones are actually right on the vector path. So that's the difference of that. Just depends on what you think looks best for that particular shape. I'm going to go ahead and set my square here to Cascade Fill for a second. So now you can see the difference then again between the standard fill and the Cascade Fill. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to put in an irregular bump right in this guy. There, that's what I'm looking for. You'll notice, let me zoom in on this. This is an irregular shape because you're not always going to be filling perfect circles and squares when you're doing the rhinestone fill. In this case, the Cascade Fill, it's leaving us with these odd rhinestone gaps right here. That's where the overlap filter comes in. Right now it's been removed. If we go ahead and hit merge, what it's going to do is actually going to close these off in a sense. Let me go ahead and hit apply and you can see that. So see how it now has kind of pinched them closed? That's what the overlap or the filter does, the overlap filter does. Most of the time you won't even be able to see a difference between those two. Another thing about the fills is just the same way in which we were able to tweak the stones with the rhinestone outline, we can do the same with our fills. So down here we have our rhinestones tool. I'm selected on my irregular shape right here. Click on the rhinestones tool. This allows me to come in and individually move these stones around, tweak them as I see fit. I can add stones if I want to. I can delete stones if I want to. I can add stones outside the fill that are still connected with that. You'll notice I'm select on this. I'm going to go ahead and change the color. It will change those stones as well because it reads them as being a part of this. Another thing too, that is an important difference from, we have this tool down here. This is the stone with the 1. This is add free place rhinestones. If I click on that, it allows me to add rhinestones around my design. Each individual rhinestone is a separate stone property. So each individual one that I add with my add free place rhinestones tool, I can individually add or adjust the size and the color to that one, which is a big difference. Like I can click on one stone and move it around, which is not the same as these. These pink stones I added when I was selected on my irregular shape. I added those with the rhinestones tool, so they are considered part of this shape. So you'll notice if I am not able to select these, I'm not able to move them, I'm not able to delete these unless I am selected on this shape. That's when they come where I can move them, delete them, tweak them. This is really important because if you have a rhinestone that just is floating out in your design and you can't seem to do anything with it, it's because it is grouped with one of your one of your like vector paths or vector shapes within the design. So that's something that can be kind of confusing when you get started. But that's at least one way of being able to find that is like selecting a shape and seeing if you're able to hit those. And so that is how you can use the fill tool. One last thing that we have, and let's go ahead. I have my circle here again. I'm going to go ahead and make it a standard fill. So I have my line spacing set really wide apart so we can really see what's going on here. But when I select this, I have this tool down here, which is our angle lines tool. I'm going to click on that. It gives me, you'll see there's like this vector line that kind of goes through the center of our circle. I can move this, and then when I hit my picked tool, it's going to force the rhinestones to fill at that angle. So that's how I can set these. Which is great if you want, because that way you're not forced to have the horizontal stripes. So I just click on my My angle lines tools, I adjust this, and then when I have it the angle I want to, I just hit my pick tool and it will force them that way. So that is how you use your Rhinestone Fill Tool.